Hello, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Hunt a Killer, the monthly subscription mystery box series where you are put in contact with the mysterious, puzzly, riddle-speaking man. Lives are on the line, deaths have occurred, and we're going to figure out what's going on in the beginning of Season 2. So Hunt a Killer sends me these boxes for free because I got a big loud mouth. Obviously, I have a business relationship with them, so make of that what you will. I know nothing of the story until I actually open the boxes. In the interest of additional full disclosure, I did open this box about a month ago, something like that. I was doing a box about the premium 1934 box with my sister Kristen, and at the end of it, because I was running out of time to do all these things, I decided let's roll right into it. Let's do an unboxing of Season 2, Episode 1. So I had taken a bit of a peek back then, but I hadn't really read anything until this past week when it was clear that, like, yeah, it's time to come back. So I took a month off. I have not been doing Hunt a Killer stuff, but bam, I've been in contact with the hive mind behind Hunt a Killer, and I'm excited to get back into the game. So I do have Season 2, Episode 2 sitting just behind that door, basically. I will not be opening it. I don't want to cram it. I don't want to do it too fast. I think I'm still going to stay monthly. Subject to change without reason, but that's what I'm currently planning. So that's what I've been up to, which is largely nothing, and it's been great. But it's time. I've been away too long. It's time to get some blood on our hands again. Occasionally, literally, in this game. So, if you are, for whatever reason, wary of spoilers, I respect that, and this is where you should leave. Because now I'm going to start talking about Hunt a Killer. Right now I'm going to spoil Season 1 of Hunt a Killer, pretty much entirely. I'm not going to give like a full beginning to end comprehensive overview of it, but I do want to talk about Season 1 a little bit before we jump into Season 2. And then, yes, I will literally be showing you pretty much everything that comes in the box. Box 9, Season 2, Episode 1. So, get out of here. Get out! And share the link if you're watching live. You should also know that if this is your first time watching a video like this, I've done a video on every single box up until this point. So you can get those at youtube.com/talkbomb. Okay. Hunt a Killer Season 1. General premise is this. And I say this as a fan of storytelling, and I say this as a person that is trying to figure out where we're going in the future, and sometimes that requires acknowledging where you've been. So we've been through the intermediary service of a company called Listening Friends of America. We have been put in contact with a fella named John William James. He is very much like Hannibal Lecter. He sends you cryptic letters that appear to have, bizarre turns of phrase in them, occasionally literally hidden messages within the letter. It seems like he has been wanting to point out to you other inmates in his facility, because it does appear that he is incarcerated. I'm still unclear at this point what Listening Friends of America does in terms of locking people up, because it seems like they do have inmates, aka patients. But John William James, much like Hannibal Lecter consulting on Buffalo Bill's case in Silence of the Lambs, John William James has wanted us to handle matters about a fella named Lloyd McGowan, who John William James believed, Lloyd was wrongly incarcerated for the murder of a woman. And that is, by and large, conceptually, what Season 1 was. It was a back and forth. It was a quid pro quo, Clarice. It was our conversations with a person through letter writing. It was a pen pal system, literally. Boy, really, seriously, heavy spoilers now. And I guess I'll also just say, go get your own. If you don't want to be spoiled, go to huntakiller.com. Sign up for a subscription to this, and get one of these boxes every month, because I'm literally about to spoil what happens at the end of Season 1. So the story carried on like that. Throughout all my videos, I talked about what a big fan I am of this premise. that we're essentially, through Listening Friends of America, we're put in contact with this person. And he's had to write cryptic notes to us because the packages are all being inspected, right? So he can't overtly say to us, you know, I think that Lloyd is perfectly innocent. I found sneaky ways to send you a file about Lloyd McGowan, about the medical history of Lloyd McGowan and the autopsy notes of the woman he supposedly killed. He had to do that stuff kind of cryptically and on the sly, and with the help of people that he had coerced into doing his bidding within the facility. So at the end of season 1, we learn more about John William James. It seems that voluntarily he sent us a file about himself. All these notes that are written by, you know, doctors, people who work at the facility, about how John William James is seemingly like really like seducing people to the dark side to some extent. And it culminates, season 1 culminates, spoilers. I'm going to stop saying spoilers because it just has to be implied, because otherwise I will be hedging every bet I say tonight. John William James appears to have broken out. Season 1 finale, he sent us a secret sneako video of him slitting the throat of one of the people that he had coerced into doing his bidding, a man named Jacob Nilsson, who was the director of the vice president, or one or the other, of the facility that John William James was in. So John William James has flown the coop, just like Hannibal Lecter at the end of Silence of the Lambs. He's out there in the world now. That's what the story has been. And for me, I always viewed the Listening Friends of America story as it's such a great hub for storytelling. You can do a million things with that concept. It's great. We're not directly in contact with John William James. We never have been. We've been in contact with Listening Friends of America. And even when John William James seemed to be running the facility, not officially, it was all done through the pretense of this company. Now that has changed. Let's do it. We used to get manila envelopes with inspection stickers on them. Those days appear to be gone, because when you open the Hunter Killer box for season 2, episode 1, you are greeted with this black envelope. And without an inspection sticker, I hope this reads well on camera, you're greeted with somewhat of a familiar icon now. This is, it appears, the symbol that John William James has adopted for himself, much like Prince. He's like the artist formerly known as John William James. This is his name now. This symbol is a combination of the constellations for a dragon and the constellation for a swan, Cygnus and Draco. Combined, he is now the Dragon Swan. That appears to be the name he has adopted for himself. So when I looked at this, my first thought immediately is, wow, okay. So the handcuffs are off. Kid gloves are off. He is now going to be speaking to us very overtly, very directly. Bam, I am the Dragon Swan. Here is my message. Here is my bidding. And then I felt like I was wrong about that assumption. To back it up real quick, there are two sides to every Hunter Killer box. When you open the box, of course, you have your envelope. That's going to have a bunch of clues. But on top of the envelope, outside of the envelope, you usually have what I refer to as like metadata for the game. Things that Hunter Killer is sending you, not Listening Friends of America, not this new organization, which we'll get to. So this time they sent us, I think that this makes a lot of sense, a fancy Hunter Killer branded map. Now, this feels like this might be where we are eventually going to be pinning the locations of events that have transpired in the past. This feels like it might be where we can draw out a trail of some sort using the compass and the bizarre set of coordinates we received a few boxes ago. But I'm going to, well, literally put a pin in that at some point. Because, yeah, let's... I'm trying to... There's no good place to start that's better than any other, I mean. Let's just do it. Let's jump into it. Listening Friends of America is gone. We are now dealing with an organization, I believe it's an organization, perhaps a cult of some sort, called Teleria. We used to get letters from Listening Friends of America saying, like, yeah, you got a note from your friend and the organization, things are changing around the organization, blah, 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 blah. But this time, we get this. You have received this package through Talaria. The contents of this package have remained absolutely secret and secure under our protection, per our prerogatives. Both you and the sender of this package remained anonymous, per our prerogatives. No address information has been saved, per our prerogatives. I think I already made a pierogies joke, so I'll hold off on that. You're welcome. Or, I'm sorry, depending on how you feel about it. Talaria. Talaria is, in my head, and I should say again, viewing it from like a storytelling perspective, functionally, Talaria is the new Listening Friends of America. We're getting these packages through Talaria now. And in case you were wondering, Talaria is, of course, a reference to Greek mythology. Talaria is apparently those are the winged sandals that you've seen on like images, like depictions of Greek goddesses, Greek gods. At best, I wonder if that means that it's sort of a representation of this group as being, well, one, godlike, right? If it's a cult, if they're psychopathic, sociopathic, they may think very highly of themselves. They may be wearing the winged sandals because that's the impression they have of themselves, that they deserve to. But it also makes me think of being like fleet-footed, hard to catch, and maybe literally in the case of John William James. He's out there in the world now. Maybe he'll never be caught again because nobody will be able to catch up to him. And then we have in the envelope a bunch more stuff, a lot more stuff. So let's just go through it somewhat quickly as is possible in this case. We used to get our letters from John William James in just a standard envelope, and it said friend on the outside. Now we are getting them in this, is it brown or maroon? I should know the difference. I think it's kind of maroony envelope. And then we get a very familiar looking letter. So now we're back onto like sort of like firm ground. We know what this is. We get this. And it is a letter from John William James. And it does appear that there is a secret message in it. It looks like there's a binary message written in here. Some of the O's are replaced by zeros. Some of the L's are replaced by the number 1, 010001, and stuff like that, which can be translated into English, into letters. But the actual content of the letter is very much about how he has escaped, about how the air tastes sweet and fine, the sound of birds tweet lively by, things that somebody who's been incarcerated for countless years, or unknown years, I guess, would say. And then he says some things that I don't really understand. He says, at one point, poor Lloyd, referring back to that guy, Lloyd McGowan, who John William James believed to have been unjustly convicted of murdering a woman. Poor Lloyd, he will never know the cosmic paradigm shifts wrought... Hard to read this, seriously. He will never know the cosmic paradigm shifts wrought courtesy of the bequest to his only companion of his father's inheritance. I should say, Daddy must have felt quite guilty. After all, he did abandon his boy. Very Hannibal Lecter, right? But this phrasing, like I really, short of like sitting down to actually chart out the language use, I pored over it and have no idea what it is. He will never know the cosmic paradigm shifts wrought courtesy of the bequest to his only companion of his father's inheritance. So does that mean that he has a companion who also inherited stuff from his father, and then he doesn't know what cosmic paradigm shifts were done because somebody gave a command to his companion, to his father's inheritance? Like, I don't understand what that means. I don't know what that means. And then he says, and this I found very interesting. I love this kind of thing. Speaking of gifts, I would like you to start looking back through the little gifts I've given you. One of them is perhaps the most important of them all, and yet the least conspicuous. Over the course of months, we've gotten things like black lights, pencils, pens. We got a little toy airplane. We got a compass. We got a ruler. We've gotten little pig pendants. We've gotten a lot of things. one of those things from the first 8 boxes was more inconspicuous than the rest, and yet it is far more important than we realized. I love that. It makes me wonder what it must be. I don't think, I'm going to say it right now, there are things in this box that, similar to previous boxes where they're sort of the springboard for story, I think that we don't have an answer. I don't think we can come up with an answer. I can posit theories about, well, we never really did get to use the compass. And the compass is essentially a functional tool, much like how we received the ruler, much like how we received pencils and pens. It's literally just an implement to figure something out. Maybe they're suggesting we would have thought of the compass as being innocuous. And yet, no, there's a secret purpose for it. Maybe it's the toy airplane, which we believe to only have been a keepsake of Lloyd McGowan's, who had a childish mentality. It was just a toy. Maybe it means more. It's hard to say, and I don't think that we will get those answers for a while. Charles Goss in the chat. John William James was involved in Lloyd McGowan's death, and McGowan gave him his inheritance to pay for his new venture. Meaning John William James's new venture, meaning Talaria? I mean, maybe. But I also wonder, some of the things that I wonder in this, one, why are these 2 letters different? Why are we getting a letter from Talaria explaining their process? This package is absolutely secret and secure under our protection. And then why is that separate from the John William James letter? Why does the John William James letter still have a secret coded message? Some of the letters are written in all caps. And I've pulled out exactly the ones that are all caps. Today, now, cannot, stop home, poor, cosmic companion, should abandon, looking most conspicuous, proved out, do without, possible without, history, continue. Now, pulling out all those capital words didn't reveal an obvious secret message. I went through and I took out all the binary message stuff, all the zeros and ones. I counted them up, and I tried to translate them. We've done that before. That's a familiar one. That's from a previous box. I ended up getting capital S, lowercase r, capital S, capital O, and a character that was indefinable. Not a message. Is there something that we're missing? I don't know. But the bigger question to me, I should say, is if John William James is out on his own, if he is a free man at this point, why write a coded message at all? What is he hiding at this point? Shouldn't there be, to some extent, no secrets? And obviously Hunt a Killer is a game about secrets. It wouldn't be Hunt a Killer without, weird cryptic riddles and puzzles and secret messages that you have to divine what they really mean. But I guess my question is this. Is John William James in charge of Talaria? Is John William James officially part of Talaria as one of the owners? Might it not be the case that John William James has escaped and is currently seeking refuge among a group? Maybe John William James joined a secret society. Maybe he joined a cult that had previously existed outside of him. So he's not a high-ranking member. And he is asking them to help him get messages out to someone, to us. And that's why he's got to hide these messages. I don't think that's the case. I should be clear. I don't think that what I just said is the answer. But it would be an explanation for why he has to hide zeros and ones in a letter now. I would think that if John William James were completely free and in the clear and secretly out there in the world, he could write letters to us about how sweet it is to be free, how the air tastes sweet and fine, how the sound of birds tweet lively by and he loves it. He can now have a warm espresso as he pleases. And hey, by the way, friend, I have a problem that's currently vexing me. There's somebody that I'm watching and I don't know what they're up to and I don't like that. Here are some photographs I took of him. Here is some communication that I stole of his. Can you help me figure out what it means? I feel like John William James would almost become sort of like a weird serial killer, sociopathic, kind of like police chief, giving us things to do, sending us a mission, not actually still writing secret messages himself, which suggests to me this has to be kept secret from someone. Is it just from like the post office? I don't think so. I feel like he might be keeping secrets from Talaria. That feels like it would be true and weird and interesting. But then again, no, to bust my own theory, Talaria is using the image of the dragon swan, which does suggest, like we have another letter, this is an old letter from Listening Friends of America, which we'll get to in a second, and it comes on letterhead. It comes on the letterhead for Listening Friends of America with Jacob Nilsson's name on it, officially. That's his paper stock. This has the dragon swan icon. This suggests that John William James is in charge of this group. But why the coded messages in his own note? I really would think that it would be like, I want you to help me catch this guy. Help me figure out what this guy's deal is. Unclear to me. But I think it's interesting. I think as as the new version of Listening Friends of America, I think it begs more questions than Listening Friends of America ever did. I think the entire thing is far shadier and far more shrouded in secrecy than Listening Friends of America ever was, because that always felt like it was obvious not where you knew it would go, but it felt like there were certain possibilities that it was pretty clear Hunter Killer was going to play with. And they play with them, and it was great. But Talaria is something entirely different. He's not in a cell. He's not coercing people over to his side. This is a secret society of people with a bizarre agenda that we don't know. And that's really cool. And I want to know what it is. But I don't have an answer this time. Let's go to the chat. Charles Goss. Talaria may have been involved in the Cobra tests. Let me silence a doggy. That's my silencer. Talaria may have been involved in the Cobra tests, and John William James is still needing to be secretive while using them for whatever he's planning. And the coded message, if I remember right, is a chemical compound of something in the box. The zeros and ones? Is a chemical compound? Get back to me on that. Tell me what that is. But as far as your suggestion that Talaria might have been involved in the Cobra tests, to my understanding, in Box 8, the finale of Season 1, we found out that John William James had been tested. And they seemed like, to me, at the time, it seemed like they were tests of his mental prowess. It was almost like standardized testing, finding out what he's capable of, where they would put him in a room and give him a task to solve and see how long it took him to solve it. And the first time they put him in a room, he just sat there. He didn't move. Ran out of time, they took him out of there. The next day, they put him in the next level up, the next test. And he started walking around the room doing stuff that didn't have anything to do with Test 2. But in reviewing the footage, all of his movements did relate to Test 1. So it seems like he took all that information in, ruminated on it, and then acted it out separately another time, which is weird and suggests that he has like delayed motor function, or he was just screwing with them, and he has photographic memory. He knows exactly what he would have done. But that felt to me like those tests were distinctly part of the medical community. They were part of Listening Friends of America. And if there's one thing I'm getting from Season 2, it's that we're making a pretty clean break from Listening Friends of America. So I don't know. Holly Brandstatter. Maybe it's a private black hat type contracting postal company in order to hide a paper trail, yet if Talaria is criminal, he wouldn't want to share too much. Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But at the same rate, I feel like the time for his riddles, it's not done. I always want him to be doing stuff that we don't understand. And I always want there to be a hint of danger that he knows something about us somehow. I like it when he refers to the fact that he's like, I found another friend. He's like you. I'm going to do to him what I did to you. Where we are players. We're all players in this game. But essentially all of us who are subscribed to this, we're all filling in the same role. Just like if we played a video game, if we played Mario Brothers, we'd all be playing Mario, playing as Mario. We're playing a role in this story somehow, and I love the suggestion that John William James has like corrupted us somehow, that he's done something to us, that we are now complicit in what he's doing elsewhere. So I wish the letters carried that threat still, but I feel like if he were totally free, if he were in total control of whatever he were doing, even if his messages were being caught by like a postal service or something, he would still just be being like, well, we know that our relationship is very special, and I have a new special friend I want us to look at. I feel like he would still speak cryptically, but be like, you and I are working together now to catch that guy. That's what I would think if he was free. It just makes me think he's not totally free. Also, I mean, the fact that he has, he's broken out, but he would need resources. I believe right now, I also think that he's somewhere in London. If I'm right, going by some of the other clues, I think that he's in a village in the UK or something like that. I think that he may not have the best support structure. I don't know. Charles Goss, your theory that he may have money from Lloyd McGowan to fund his new venture, cool. But I almost wonder if it's a guy that just broke out of a facility. I don't know what his resources are. Maybe he does need to seek sanctuary in another group. Maybe he does need to kind of not lie low, but he does need to rely on the kindness of strangers a little bit. Fellow wacko, weirdo murder cult people, but he may need support in some way. I just don't know. So let's continue down this trail. Let's keep going. Listening Friends of America. We got, funnily enough, some correspondence from the old Listening Friends of America, our old buddies. And this one is from Jacob Nilsson, but it appears to be a very old letter from Jacob Nilsson to John William James. I think it's funny that Jacob Nilsson at this time was the vice president, which means that it happened during the course of season 1 at some point, I think, because his title kept changing. It's written to John William James. I think it's funny that he would have to write him a note on letterhead and deliver it to him instead of like walking down the hall, making a phone call. I think it's funny that there's a paper trail for this. Mr. James, you asked me to join in your sacrament, but I'm not ready. He says stuff about like, I can't shed my form yet. I'm not as clever as you are. I've been nothing if not loyal. Please take me with you. I don't have your patience to stay here while I know you are out there doing your good work. So it seems like Jacob Nilsson, as we theorized, was brought over to the dark side prior to John William James killing him. You are more special than you know. You are my best friend. I made a mistake. This is the line. I made a mistake by contacting the historian. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. Who is the historian, and what does that mean? How is that in some way a betrayal of what John William James has been up to? Is that what served as the impetus for him to want to break out in the first place? Is it bad news for this guy, this historian, to be aware of what John William James is up to? Does that make him fly the coop to safety? It seems like that might be the case, which I find pretty interesting. Charles Goss, chat. The SRSO blah blah is a chemical name of a clue in the box. Are you referring, if we're talking about chemicals, you're talking about the box having a fragrance attached to it? Because this box appears to have some sort of perfume or something on it, in it. SRSO. Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office, I'm getting. SRSO chemical. Let's see where this leads. Molar mass of SRSO. Okay. Strontium sulfate. Oh. That is the sulfate salt of strontium. It is a white crystalline powder and occurs in nature as the mineral celestine. Is that like celestial as in the stars? It is poorly soluble in water to the extent of 1 part in 8,800. Is more soluble in dilute, whatever. Applications. Strontium sulfate is of interest as a naturally occurring precursor to other strontium compounds, which are more useful. In industry, it is converted to the carbonate for use as ceramic precursor, and the nitrate for use in pyrotechnics. Is this what you're talking about? So this is, let's change things up here. This is what I'm reading. This is the page for strontium sulfate, which naturally occurs in the mineral celestine, which is apparently, I guess, this is brand new to me. Celestine or celestite is a mineral consisting of strontium sulfate. The mineral is named for its occasional delicate blue color, which indeed this rock is blue. Celestine is the principal source of the element strontium, commonly used in fireworks and in various metal alloys. Huh, okay. Celestine derives its name from the Latin word celestial, meaning celestial, which in turn is derived from the Latin word caelum, meaning sky or heaven. Well, that falls right in line with John William James' obsession with constellations and the sky and the heavens. Interesting. Found in Madagascar, which is not where I believe John William James is right now. All right, that's interesting. So the idea is we have this rock in the box, and John William James is trying to give us an origin for the rock. Is that the theory, that he put the rock in the box and now he's trying to show us what it is? Is it just to continue the theme of the sky and constellations and the stars and stuff? That's interesting. I don't know. Is this famous for its use in something? Is this commonly used not only in fireworks, which suggests explosives? Celestine. Let's take a look at some stuff. What is celestine used for? It certainly is a pretty blue color. I'll tell you that right now. I wouldn't mind having a celestine necklace or ring. There's a book called The Celestine Prophecy, which sounds oddly central. There's an oddly central name in elsewhere in the game, actually. Which why don't we just jump to that for fun? Or is it? Here we go. We got a scrap of paper with a weirdo secret message on it. It starts out: if you find yourself struggling for truth, whispers from your long-lost brother in Halicarnassus may illuminate your understanding. Incipere, which is Latin or Splatin or something. And then it has this weirdo jumble of letters that looks like it would be a URL if you can figure out what it says, which I did. I did some stuff that I figured it wouldn't be fun to watch me sit and figure out a secret message, just doing a substitution cipher. Oh, Charles. Mineral rock. It might suggest where he's been, such as Putnam Bay, Ohio. There's a crystal cave. That's cool. But anyway, so to follow this thread of this weird URL, so I decoded the URL, and it brought me to this website, Whispers from Theodorus, which really, it sounds like a steamy romance novel. I've been reading Whispers from Theodorus again. The actual website you see when you just flat out go there, because I'm a step ahead, is just this with a search box. The secret message said incipere. So I did what you would think. Incipere. When you search that, you find one listing, which just keeps repeating the word incipere. It leads to a button, click it, which leads to denied. Password needed. I do not have the password. I do not know what the password is. Although this feels really obvious, and I'm bummed that I didn't think about it originally Theodorus, right? Theodorus is the guy. Whispers from Theodorus, who's his brother. Because it says, if you find yourself struggling for truth, whispers from your long-lost brother in Halicarnassus might illuminate your understanding. So if he's our brother, then who are we? Who is Theodorus's brother? See if we can find out. His life. He's associated with Protagoras, I guess. Protagoras. Theodorus. See, I don't feel like I'm going to stumble across it. I feel like this is the kind of thing that there's. And I could be wrong. I feel like there's not an answer for this right now. Theodorus, brother. Was it part of a brotherhood? Could it be a play on words? Brother of Heraclius. Well, wait. This is just Theodore. Whatever. Let's do it anyway. Can't hurt to try stuff, right? Yeah, didn't think so. Brother Theodore. Brother Theodore was a German-born American monologuist and comedian, known for rambling stream of consciousness dialogues. Wait, did this guy invent stand-up comedy? Hold on a minute. Oh, stand-up tragedy. All right, buddy. That's very deep. He invented stand-up tragedy. That's what I call open mic nights. Ah. All right. Anyway, that was neither here nor there. You guys don't know the password either? No one knows the password. See, that's the kind of thing. I think it may turn out that we don't have the password yet. I feel like the password to this website is going to be a big deal, and I don't think we're going to get it just yet. I think it's the kind of thing that, like, at the end of season 1, we needed a password. And we ended up getting an email later on that told it to us. Although, I'm now a couple months behind. So you guys probably would have already gotten an email if it were a similar thing. Plus, they probably wouldn't do that 2 times in a row. But yeah, I feel like we don't. I feel like we don't have it yet. I don't know. I just don't know. So let's move on to the next one. What do I want to do next? Let's do. Did I drop it? What did I do with it? There's a nut. I didn't take it out. Bam. So just like how we got Celestine stone, we got this guy, a little chestnut. Beep bap bap. Aside from it maybe just being like, oh, I'm a tough nut to crack. I don't know. Maybe like the Celestine, we're supposed to wonder about where chestnuts grow, where they are from. John William James makes reference to being in a little village, right? I do not associate, and I think I'm probably wrong for this, but my association with the word village feels like it is international, feels like it is outside of America. I don't know many people who would describe themselves as living in a little village here. There are also references made in other clues here that lead me to believe that he may be in London. So I wonder if chestnuts have any relationship to the UK, to London. History. We can get the history. The sweet chestnut was introduced into Europe from Sardis in Asia Minor. The fruit was then called the Sardian nut. It has been a staple food in southern Europe, Turkey, and southwestern and eastern Asia for millennia, largely replacing cereals where these would not grow well, if at all, in mountainous Mediterranean areas. I don't know. Charles, any thoughts on the chestnut? Before I abandon it because I am at a complete loss. I don't know what the deal is with the chestnut at all. The Miras say it's a buckeye. What does that mean? Jenny Schaffer Mira? Is that what you mean? What is a buckeye? That sounds like something you'd like shoot out of a slingshot or something. Buckeye. Oh. Buckeyes are from Ohio, like John William James, and are poisonous, like John William James. Buckeye nut. See, I grew up in the middle of nowhere, and I used to like see chestnuts all over the place, and like the playground when I was a kid, they'd like be falling on our heads all the time. So I looked at this for 1 second and went, bam, chestnut. But I'm looking at a picture of a Buckeye nut, and it sure does look like that. Let's take a look at this. This is a Buckeye nut. Right there, right. So that's the image of it on Wikipedia, and this is it in my hand. That looks like a Buckeye nut. Interesting. The Ohio Buckeye is the state tree of Ohio, and its name is an original term of endearment for the pioneers on the Ohio frontier, with specific association with William Henry Harrison, Captain Daniel Davies of the Ohio Company of Associates, under General Rufus Putnam. Putnam Park, that was a thing in Connecticut where I grew up. Blah, blah, blah. Davies was the second man ashore at Point Harmar. He declared later that he cut the first tree felled by a settler west of the Ohio River, a Buckeye tree. Additionally, he then ate buckeyes and found out they were poisoned. Symbolism and uses. So I should not eat this, right? Native Americans would blanch buckeye nuts, extracting the tannic acid for use in making leather. The nuts can also be dried, turning dark as they harden with exposure to the air, and strung into necklaces similar to those made from the kukui nut in Hawaii. Buckeye candy, made to resemble the tree's nut, is made by dipping a ball of peanut butter fudge in milk chocolate, leaving a circle of the peanut butter exposed. That's yummy. Is it poison? Certainly seems like it's giving us a region. So Ohio, solid connection. Let me look up some pictures of chestnuts to make sure I'm not insane, because I looked at this for 1 second. I was like, bam, chestnut. Not that I could Google, hey, what does this nut look like? You can't go to what kind of nut is this.com and have them tell you. So I'm glad you guys were able to tell me right now. Yeah, I thought it was one of these guys. See? Still very similar. But I think you're right. Buckeye seems like a better fit. Seems like a way better fit than this. Should I eat it to find out if it's poison? That would get us to the bottom of it very quickly. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know. People make Buckeye candies in Ohio. Maybe John William James escaped to become a humble candy maker. Pretty noble pursuit, if you ask me. I'd be very proud of him. All right. So we had an envelope within an envelope, a little white envelope, in which we got this letter. To Robert. Handwritten, I believe. Certainly looks handwritten. You slept in late again. Make your own breakfast. I'll see you this afternoon. I'm going to the cafe in town to get some work done. Then I'm going to explore the island and see that tower by myself. I'm not going to that museum, though. You can do that on your own. If I had known it was haunted, I would never have brought us here. I live with enough ghosts at home. Robert. Signed M. Obviously a very hostile note, a very cryptic note. I don't know many people that are just like, I'm going to go to that cafe, but I won't go to that tower. Very dodgy. What is the note that brought me to the idea of... Oh, tower. What was it that brought me to London? All right, circular logic, but whatever. I'm going to explore the island and see that tower by myself. Now, previously in Hunt a Killer, we've gotten pictures of lighthouses, which you might call towers. But John William James makes reference to being in a village. And like I said, a village makes me think international. And then I got to the part where I read somebody going to a tower. And I'm thinking Tower of London. And then we also have this art piece, which is called Merry-Go-Round. The name of this art piece is Merry-Go-Round. I've been referring to it as a very upsetting Hitler document, because this fellow who's screaming in the corner looks like he has a weirdo Hitlerish mustache, but that is not the case. It is called merry-go-round. And I looked up some of the history of this image, and it's a little odd. It was painted in 1916 by Mark Gertler. It's his most famous work, so not a great sign for Mark Gertler. Might have been inspired by a ride at the annual fair in Hampstead Heath, which is a large park in London. This is a quote from Gertler, which I really like, which was written in 1916. I am working very hard on a large and very unsaleable picture of merry-go-round. So he was working on this, working his ass off on it, and going like, I'm working very hard on something that I can't sell, which I greatly respect, because I'm somewhat familiar with that feeling. Currently located in the Tate in London. This work of art is presently located in the Tate in London. Well, London, I feel like since it's in the UK, since it's in Europe, there might be little villages around there. Maybe John William James has gone there. He talks about how he's got his eyes set on someone that he's going to corrupt in some way. We have this note to a person named Robert from somebody who's going to go visit a tower and then says, I'm not going to that museum, though. Is she referring to the Tate? The Tate Museum. You can do that on your own, Robert. If I had known it was haunted, I would have never brought us here. I live with enough ghosts at home. So that begged another question. Do people believe the Tate to be haunted? So here's what I did. Let's load it up. Load it up, and let's do some storytelling. Is Tate Britain haunted? Now, this is literally on the Tate website. You can't see it. It's behind my head. But this is the logo for the Tate, where this image is kept right now. Tate Britain has had a colorful past from prison site to air raid shelter. If only the walls of the gallery could talk. Or do they? Take a peek at our eerie CCTV footage and decide for yourself. Now, I don't know if the audio is going to work on this, but let's take a lookie. This is 30 seconds of CCTV footage, so I assume maybe there is no audio. Oh, the doors are opening. Oh, that thing fell down. Oh my. Is the Tate haunted? Is M regretting having come to London to go to the Tate, perhaps to see this, once she found out that it's believed to be haunted? Is the footage not good enough for you? Guess what? I got more story to tell. I've worked, this is the person whoever wrote this article from tate.org.uk. Susan Holtham wrote this. It's a very wholesome story. I've worked at Tate Britain for a fair few years now, and the more people you talk to, the more stories there are. The offices here used to be a hospital, and if you've ever visited, you can immediately see the connection in its long, bed-wide corridors. And so I've heard about padded cells, the basement morgue, and just today about the apparent former meat locker that is the digital team's tiled and chilly stationary cupboard. The one that's stuck out in my visually driven brain, though, is the tale of a door swinging open in the gallery and it being captured on CCTV. I tracked down a few others to help shed some light on the ghostly goings-on. There's an old picture of the Tate Museum, formerly a prison. Monica, Membership Services Manager, fills me in. This story I heard on my induction tour from a visitor experience manager who has since retired. It's no great secret that Tate Britain stands on the site of Victorian London's largest and grimmest sounding prison. Jeremy Bentham, which that name is familiar to me, built it in an unusual shape with the guards' rooms at the center. It had miles of dank, cold tunnels where the walls had to be marked to prevent the guards losing their way. Cholera was rife, and a lot of prisoners died from the conditions. If you go down to the lower levels of Tate Britain, you can see the remnants of holding cells for the prisoners waiting to be transported to Oz. He said that the ghost of a young woman had been seen in that area, and it's assumed that on emptying an overcrowded cell, she fled, got lost in the maze-like tunnels, and died, and now haunts the grounds. He also told us that holding cells stretched as far as beneath the Morpeth Arms, a nearby pub in Millbank, and that customers there have regularly seen an old man in the corner, the ghost of a prisoner who died in the holding cell below, and that the staff hate going down in the cellar. So there's another story about it being haunted. I love reading haunted stories, so if you guys want me to read it, I will, but I think the point is made. The Tate is, some people believe to be haunted, a haunted museum. Now, I'm not saying that's a unique thing, but I'm saying that that is something that I found using literally nothing but the clues in front of me. This led me to the Tate. This led me to wonder about museums that may or may not be haunted, which put London in my head. First and foremost, in big, bold letters, we're talking about London. We're going international. And the fact that John William James says he's in a village and he has found someone he's interested in, might not he be abroad as well? And perhaps he's set his sights on young Robert? You tell me. That is probably the best discovery that I have made in this box. Spoiler alert. I think I'm going to be wrapping it up somewhat shortly, but everything else that I have for you is nothing more than, here's something I noticed. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what it means. But I really feel like this Tate story is interesting. I feel like this is something worth thinking about, something to chew on, something to keep in mind as we continue forward. And maybe I'm completely wrong. It's happened before, numerous times, but I just don't know. Okay. Is this the final clue? This might be the final clue from the box. We got this. This chalupa wrapper, on which somebody wrote a cryptic message. Now, here's the thing about this. I worked my dumb ass off trying to solve this, and I didn't. I did not succeed. It feels like it would be a substitution cipher. I mean, it obviously is, right? Like these letters must be in place for other letters for this message to make sense, but I just don't know what it is. I went through the work of actually building out, in an attempt to decode it. I went through and said, like, all right, so this is the alphabet on the left. This entire column is A through Z, straight through. The next column over, it's based essentially on a small theory of mine. If you go through, I was trying to locate patterns in writing, right? So we've got all of these letters, and they don't make sense. A, D, C, D is not a word. M, Q, E is not a word. But we do see that we have a word, another word, comma, and then a message. Feels very much like it would say, like, Dear Mo. And in fact, it kind of looks like the name Mo right there. This is a four-letter word. Is A, D, C, D the word dear? A, D, C, D, is that actually D, E, A, R? I started there. But no. A, D, C, D. The letter D is used twice. It can't stand for both E and R. Maybe it can, but not in the way that I've been thinking. I feel like it's overly complicated to be like, one letter might stand for two letters. But the fact that it's A, D, C, D, if you're going to say that it's A equals D, D equals E, C equals A, and D equals R, then D equals both E and R. And so I threw that out the window. It's not the word dear. Maybe it's not written like a letter. So I moved on to try to find other things. You can see that, so it's written out. We've got some words that don't make sense, and then we have a letter that appears to be on its own. And then later on, again, we keep reading, and it looks like we have another letter that's on its own. Looks like maybe it's a Q and a W. What one-letter word is there? What one-letter words are there? A and I. Here's what I was doing. The I would be on its own. I went to a bar. The letter I would be on its own, and the word A would be on its own. So is the Q equal to A or I? And is W equal to the other? No! because I went through it all and I didn't figure out what the hell it was. Take a look at this. So I went through. Here's, let's find the letter Q. Here's the letter Q in the alphabet. I said, okay, let's say that the letter Q is equal to A. Then let's run through the alphabet. I went through and I equated the rest of the alphabet based on that. Didn't get anything. I said, all right, maybe it's equal to I. Ran through the rest of the alphabet. Didn't come up with anything. All right, well, W was the other letter that was on its own. Let's say that W is equal to A. Let's run through. Nothing. Let's say that W is equal to I. Nothing. Tried a bunch of other stuff. Nothing. I do not know what this message means. There is one other saving grace for this letter, and I don't know what it is. One last saving grace. It says there's a stamp on it that is largely illegible, and I don't know what it says. I make scans of everything. I back up all of the documents so that I can study them, even if I'm not at home, even if I'm not near the actual physical clues. But this is something that does not work in a scan. It's clear. I don't know if it'll even read on camera. It's clear to me that something was done in the corner here. It's oversaturated with ink. It looks like it was stamped in some way, but it is unclear what it says. It might say 511, or if I'm reading it in reverse, it might say 115. I don't know. Paige Casey, hello. So again, I'm left with a lot of messages that I don't really understand. I guess with the help of Charles Goss, with the help of the chat, now I know that the binary message in the John William James letter was to lead us to a mineral that relates to the stars in the sky, up far away. And I do think that I figured out the London thing, but I don't understand. I don't understand this. I don't understand the website. I don't know what the password is. And I don't understand what John William James's role has evolved to be. Is he free? Is he incarcerated in a new way? Is he in charge of an organization? Is he just a member of an organization? Is he deliberately, intentionally sending us coded messages, or is that his only option? I don't know. And I'm open to suggestion. But again, I think even having taken a month off, I'm too far ahead. I think I'm getting to the point where I'm like John William James. I need a hive mind to some extent. So I'm open to any and all suggestions from the peanut gallery. But I just don't know. All right, there's one thing I want to try real quick. And maybe it won't turn out to be anything. I have my black light across the room. It might be worth looking at this stamp through the black light. Okay. Let's see. It helps. It does help. BI, possibly an 8. B, or like BH, BHO, BFO, B. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the solution? Is it like B equals? Is it on side? Hard to tell. B is, I don't know. The black light is the answer, but I don't know if mine's clear enough. B. Yo, this is not easy. If it's an equal sign, then it's on its side. And if it's not an equal sign, then it's like B-I-I-O. B-O? They tell me I got B-O? How could they? B, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I still don't know what it means. But I feel like it might be saying B equals O. Or H or something. I feel like my stamp is not complete. There's a gap in it. Let's see if this will read. I need to try to make this visual in some way, shape, or form. So you can tell, oh, good. You can see that there's like a discoloration in that corner. That's what I'm talking about. No. Too bright. I'm going to turn off the light. There we go. That's good and scary. Okay. Yeah, right here. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. It's just not going to be legible in the video. But yeah, it does say something. Turning off the light did not help. B20, or it's like 81. Maybe mine's literally just not clear. That's a bummer. Huh. Does anybody just have it? That would be handy. Do you guys know what this is? Because I literally don't think that I can do it at all. Yours had multiple stamps? All right, well then. Oh. Yeah, that's funny. I think it is a mistake. It draws the eyes so much, like this one, because it is oversaturated. Something got screwed up there. The other ones are really light, but they're legible. B-I-F-I-D. Typical Polybius. All right, well, I'm off and running. Let's see where this takes us. Typical Polybius. Polybius square. In cryptography, the Polybius square, also known as the Polybius checkerboard, is a device. Invented by the ancient Greek historian and scholar Polybius for fractioning plain text characters so that they can be represented by a smaller set of symbols. Thank you, Jenny Sheffermira. Yeah, it seems like my stamp was screwed up. Or maybe that's to draw the eye so you're like, oh, there's something on here. Because otherwise it would be too light to tell. Maybe it's not a screw up, maybe it's intentional. But for sure it's weird. Bifid. Alright. Let's I'll let you guys see what I'm doing. Wish I had just done this before. Bifid. Typical Polybius, is that what it is? Google the whole thing just in case. Bifid cipher. Which combines the Polybius square with transposition and uses fractionation to achieve diffusion. It was invented around 1901 by Felix Delestel. This actually explains something. I got trolled, or frankly, someone just commented on one of my YouTube videos, youtube.com/talkbomb, and was like above and beyond, appeared pissed at me for not figuring something out. And at one point she was like, you didn't talk about this, you didn't talk about that, you didn't mention that there's a guy who works for Listening Friends of America named Felix, which is the first name of somebody who invented a kind of cipher. And I was in the throes of madness, responding to her and just being like, what are you talking about? She pointed this guy out to me, Felix Delestel, and I was like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make sense. She was on like box 3. There's no reason she should have known this. She must have seen somebody else talking about this and then decided to throw it in my face. This is the first time it's actually come up in game, in box 9. So I still feel somewhat justified. All right, anyway. First, a mixed alphabet Polybius square is drawn. The message is converted to its coordinates in the usual manner, of course, but they are written vertically beneath. They are then read out in rows, then divided up in pairs again, and the pairs turned back into the letters using the square working example. In this way, each ciphertext character depends on 2 plaintext characters, so the bifid is a digraphic cipher. This is really cool and also daunting. Damn it. Is this standard? Is this a standard format? Like, is 33 always A? Should we rely on this? Or I guess this means that you guys have decoded this message. Should I rely on this in order to crack this code? Does that make sense? Because it seems to me that you could technically just change the way the alphabet is lined up in here so that 1-1 wouldn't be B. 1-1 could be whichever letter of the alphabet you want. I'm both pumped and bummed because it seems like this is going to be a lot of work. You can't look at a black light in a scan. Damn. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat because now I'm overwhelmed is not the word, but good God. Use a bifid cipher. Probably the next item on the results list. Oh, there's just an online tool. Guys, I'm not so overwhelmed anymore. Did you know that? Bifid cipher. The name's Bifid Cipher. It's nice to meet me. It is so nice for you to meet me. Bifid cipher. Bifid cipher is considered more secure. Blah, blah, blah. Huh. All right, let's type in this message and see what we get in the end. ADCD M, I believe it's Q E OTC BQEO TO LOOIN FQ. I spent so much time alternating stuff on Q. Coin, Crick, BMNB, Bo, Kia. Divegert, BLT. I'd like a BLT. WPEBS, baby. TWT, GXT, FIH, WOK, I think. RVE, IOO, TO, lots, GAC, Y, OBS. Oh, it worked. Ladies and gentlemen, the final message. Aukudke, Sinmusakud, Fuckelker. This fucking cipher. Tableau used. Yes, I think I need to know what equals what. Right, like I think I need to know at least one of the substitutions to crack this. So, I mean, again, I could go with W equals A or W equals I, right? There's no reason that my former logic can't work. W equals I. Let's do that again. I have to refresh. What do I got to do? Let's refresh. No! Stop it. Refresh. All right, will this change my cube? Yeah, it does. Okay. Oh. All right, W does not equal I. Does W equal A? No. All right, does Q, because again, these were the two letters that seemed like they existed on their own. Q is not A, maybe Q is I. No. Okay. What am I missing? Oh, decrypt. What the hell? I'm not trying to encrypt. I'm trying to decrypt, baby. Yo. Is it doing it? Holy schmoly. Wait a minute. Alright, decrypt again. Dear Bob. to FRK A. It seems like I got my spacing wrong because it's handwritten. So, all right. So, dear Bob, TO appears to be its own thing. Looks like yourself is supposed to be one word. Let's just do some cleaning up. Yeah, see, this CBQ, is that not what it says? OT CBQE. Yeah, that's what I wrote. To FRCA yourself. Free your, like some of this makes sense, but not all of it. This is interesting. Free your tormentor. This is bugging out my eyes doing this. From her corporeal prison. Do this, and I oin me. Do I have that right? See, this again, it's like, all right, do I have a VEIOO? Yeah, that's what it looks like. VEIOO. Failure is death. All right, dear Bob, I guess it's to free yourself, free your tormentor from her corporeal prison. Do this, and I oin me. Guys, do this and I oin me. Oh, it's join. Do this and join me. The I is not right. Do this and join me. Failure. I'll continue to clean it up. Or maybe I'm not. What the hell is happening? Can't tell what I'm typing because it's insane. All right. Death is now clean. Failure. Failure is death. Do this and join me. Failure is death. Okay. Well, Bob would be Robert, right? Dear Bob, to free yourself, free your tormentor from her corporeal prison, do this and join me. Failure is death. So I guess to some extent what I was saying before is correct. It's about John William James contacting someone else, and in this case not being like, we got to track this guy down and catch him. It's about John William James contacting a guy to try to get him to kill M. Robert from M. Dear Bob, Robert, to free yourself, free your tormentor. I live with enough ghosts at home. Hostile. Free your tormentor from her corporeal prisoner, body. Do this and join me. Failure is death. So I'm going to kill you if you don't kill your tormentor. That's very Jigsaw. It's very like better your life. Learn the value of life. If you don't do it, I'm going to kill you. Then it's over, baby. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know how I feel about that. That's odd. That's a cool cipher. That's a very cool cipher. I have no idea how I would do that on my own without this tool. But that's very cool. And I like knowing about it now. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it. I guess it's more of the story, right? Like I do feel like this supports my theory to some extent, and it actually helps me know maybe where this is going to go. Maybe we are in it with John William James. I still don't know why he's sending us weird secret messages. Maybe the secret binary message in his letter is his own picadillo. He just likes to refer to his celestial stuff, so he wanted to show us Celestine. He couldn't stop himself from including a clue about Celestine. Because he likes it. But it's not like it meant something to us where we were like, whoa. So maybe he's not hiding a message from anyone. Maybe he is in charge of Talaria. He's including secret messages, because that's what he does. And he's showing us how he's hunting down other people to join his weirdo cult. It seems like he does it through the threat of murder. I will kill you if you do not kill your tormentor. Interesting. All right. I feel like, bam, that is the end. I don't know where else to go. There's a lot. There's deceptively... I never know how to use the word deceptively. There's deceptively a lot in this box. I felt like I kept finding things that weren't leading places for right now. I felt like I was finding things that were part of an ongoing story. And I think in large part that is true. There is the website. There is whispersfromtheodorus.com, which requires a password. There is the whatever kind of nut that is. There are things that I don't know what they mean. And frankly, the fact that we have a map of America, why would they give us a map of the United States of America if he's in the UK? Maybe that's going to be a short-lived venture. Maybe his interests are still based in America. I don't know. Very interesting. A lot to think about. And I literally have the next box sitting in the next room. So I could dig into more. But I have to call it quits. So I'll just say this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you watched live, thank you. Paige Casey, Jenny Shaframira, Charles Goss, my own mom, a bunch of people who are popping in and out. It's been a good time. I hope that you guys had a good time too. I'm glad to be back. I'm interested in seeing how this story evolves. I miss listening Friends of America. I feel like that's a great place for tons of story to happen. But maybe we'll get back there. It's not impossible. Obviously, Hunt a Killer has put a lot of work into building Listening Friends of America as a concept, so I feel like there's more to be said about that place. But yeah, interesting. All right, let's see how this continues to develop. If you're interested in more of me, please go to talkbomb.com. That is the website where I post all of the things that I work on. Follow my podcast, Book Club, Schmook Club online. You can subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, all over the place, really. Just look up Book Club, Schmook Club. We have a new episode coming out at midnight tonight, so if you're not done with my voice, it will ring out again on the internet in just a couple of hours, 2.5 hours. It'll be online. But more than anything, I really just hope you guys had a good time. I know I did. So until I see you in a future episode, this is Detective Doodle, Inspector Sponge, signing off. And I'll see ya in episode 2 of season 2. But until that time comes, happy hunting.